Welcome to the AI and ML Search with Open Search course. We are in Chapter 2, Installation and Configuration. This video is a continuation of Demo 1, Installing, Configuring, and Connecting OpenSearch on an AWS EC2 virtual machine. So let's go back to where we left in our previous lecture. So we have launched an EC2 instance, installed Docker, and readied it. So let's see how we can connect our Visual Studio Code to this EC2 instance. So one of the first things that you would have to ensure is that you have a remote SSH plugin or an extension in your Visual Studio Code. Go ahead and search for it. Remote SSH. And you can see I've already installed the plugin. All of the plugins that are used for this course are mentioned in the VS Code extensions file, and you can install it as bulk by using one of these code snippets depending on your machine OS. If it is a Windows PowerShell, you could use this command, for example, or you could install manually one by one. So for example, in this case, we can copy this, go to extensions and enter this, and you can find it matches exactly one extension, and you can install this. Alright, that's it. One of the first things that you would have to do is to enable SSH connections from your Windows. Open your Windows folder and ensure that you have SSH in your user directory, a .ssh folder, which will exist in your Windows 11. My machine is a Windows 11 machine. The OpenSSH client would already be installed by default with Windows 11. So, as you can see, the .ssh folder contains all of the configuration files for connecting to various other machines via SSH protocol. I have a bunch of these. I've dropped the opensearch.pem file, which we have created while launching the instance, and you can see the same would be mentioned. Let's go back to the EC2, and if you click the OpenSearch, and scroll all the way down, and you can see the key pair is OpenSearch. Now you'd have to download this right when launching the instance. It won't be available after that. So take the PEM file and drop it in the folder, in .ssh folder. And now open the config file. If the config file doesn't exist, go ahead and create one. And as you can see, this is how my config file will look like. You can go ahead and copy. Now here I have tried to connect to an AWS instance previously. I would like to override this. So the first things that you would like to look for is the host name, which could be the IP address, the username, and the identity file, in this case, the PEM file. I'm going to modify this and mention opensearch.pem, and it is located in my home, user home, .ssh, opensearch.pem, and let's take the public IP that is associated with this instance, and in this case I'm going to take this IP and paste it here, and replace the same. Save the file by pressing Ctrl S, or file save. Now once that is done, let's go ahead to Visual Studio Code. and you can get to the short environment, to the shortcut Control Shift P, and you can search remote SSH. As soon as you start typing remote SSH, it will mention connect to host. Go ahead and connect to host, and here you will find the entry that you have specified in the config file that you can use to connect to the host. In our case, it is 54.174.79.7. Let's quickly verify that. 174.79.7. The previous value is still not clear from the cache, the 249, and hence it shows up, but we can ignore that. So let's go ahead and select that. And it is asking you to select the platform. In our case, it's an Ubuntu, so Linux. Yes, continue. And as you can see, now it is connected. And Linux is the remote platform. How do you verify that? You can go ahead and try to click, let's say for example, open folder. And you can see it instantly points home Ubuntu. Now ideally, we would want to have our course repository here. And you can go ahead and download it. Now, how do you download the course repository? Is you would have to do a git clone. So let me go ahead and show you a quick way of how do you do that. Let's go back to our browser. Let's go to github.com. Let's take, for example, GitHub OpenSearch. So this is the OpenSearch project. Now, since this is publicly available, let's go to the repositories. As an example, I'm going to go ahead and take OpenSearch. Now you do the same for the course repository as well, right? So go ahead to code and you can do an HTTPS, for example, copy, then go here and then do a git clone. Git is automatically available in all AWS EC2 instances. So go ahead and clone it. And as you can see, since it's a publicly available repository, all of this would get cloned here. Let me pause it and be right back. Now that the repository has been checked out successfully, you could go back to Visual Studio Code. And as you start typing, you start seeing all of the folders available there. Let's go ahead and click OK for now. You can see SSH colon 54.174.79.4 will show right there as a public ID. You can go ahead and trust the authors for now, and you have the same interface that I have at this point. Now I've shown you an example of how to check out a public repository OpenSearch. You can do the same with the course repository as well, which will be provided to you. Let's go ahead and close it. Before we close, let's go ahead and see how we can create and launch a virtual environment. So by default, the EC2 instance comes with so I assume the Python would show up. So maybe it's Python 3. Let's go ahead and check it out. There you can see it's Python 3.12.3, which works fine for this course. So let's go ahead and create a virtual environment. So for that, you will need to go ahead and install the Python extension, which is already installed in my. So let me go ahead and create. Let me go ahead and open one of the Python files. In this case, let me go ahead and search for one of those here. Maybe finding files, or let's just say Python. Let's go ahead and click this, for example. Right? It seems like this is a Python file. It says install the Python extension. Go ahead and install that. Seems like I did not have that extension, so let's go ahead and install that. Okay, we are back. The Python install of the extension went through successfully. Now we can go back to our repository, and as we press Ctrl Shift V, we'll notice this new Python create environment. So let's go ahead and create an environment. And the first option you see is creates a .vnv. Let's go ahead and click that. And as soon as you select a VNV, which is a virtual environment, it will ask you the base environment from which the virtual environment should be created. In this case, the system has a default 3.12.3. Let's go ahead and select that. And as soon as you select that, you can see at the root of your project, a .vnv gets created. This is very similar to what I have on my local environment. Right? Okay, so let's stop here and understand that the environment is fully ready to connect and execute the next course modules. Thanks for watching.